Okay, in the previous lecture, we had discussed up to the brachial artery, its origin, and its end, and its branches, right? So we had discussed all these are the branches of this brachial. This is the brachial artery here, and we had discussed all the branches coming from this. One of the main branch will be the profunda brachii artery. Along with that, we have the nutrient artery. Okay, that is the humeral nutrient artery. Then we have the two collateral arteries. One is the superior ulnar collateral and the inferior ulnar collateral artery. Then it gives a lot of muscular branches. And the two final important branches coming from this brachial artery will be the radial artery and the ulnar artery. So now today we will discuss further from here the radial artery and the brachial artery and its supply. Okay. Coming to the radial artery, so this is the brachial artery you can see here. Now this is the radial artery. It divides into, at the elbow, it divides into two branches, radial artery and ulnar artery. So this whole thing is the radial artery coming over here. Okay, so the radial artery is the smaller terminal branch of the brachial artery. Out of these two arteries, the ulnar artery is a larger branch and the radial artery is a smaller branch. Cosine relation, it runs distally to wrist with lateral convexity. If you see here, this artery will come here like, and it will be convex. It will go towards lateral side. Again, it starts coming medially. So it will be convex laterally and covered by brachioradialis muscle. There is a muscle here on the side which will be called as the brachioradialis. So it will be under the brachioradialis. Here they have shown just the tendon. So, but their thick muscle, muscular belly will be present. So that will be covering this whole artery. But here, for the simplification, they have removed the brachioradialis muscle. Okay, if not, it will be under the brachioradius muscle. So it will be deep here. Okay, then it becomes superficial before it comes to the wrist joint. Okay, then it will give some branches. So it will be giving the radial recurrent branch. It will be giving a branch which will be called as the radial recurrent branch. We'll go behind and we'll discuss that later. Then it will be giving the palmar carpal branches. If you see here, it will be giving carpal branches. Carpal bones are here, so it will be giving carpal branches. Then superficial palmar branch. If you see what you are seeing here, this is the superficial palmar branch of the radial artery. What you are seeing here is the superficial palmar branch, which will anastomose with the ulnar artery. We'll talk about that anastomosis later. Okay. Then it will also give muscular branches. It will be giving muscular branches. Okay. So these are some of the branches of this radial artery. Radial artery, as I said, it is a smaller branch of the brachial artery, which begins from the elbow, comes all the way laterally, being convex and deep to the brachioradialis muscle. Then it comes up to the wrist joint. Then it becomes superficial and then go behind the wrist joint. But it will be giving some branches. One of the branch which will come superficially and supply the in the front, which anastomose will be ulnar artery, that will be called as a superficial palmar branch. Then it will be giving some muscular branches, then carpal branches, and here it will give muscular branches in the arm as well as in the hand. Okay. Now coming to the second artery, that is the ulnar artery, which is a larger branch, a larger terminal branch of the brachioradialis. Okay, so this is the brachial artery, sorry, the brachial artery, which is larger branch of the brachial artery. Okay, so brachioradialis is the muscle and the brachial artery. Okay, so this is the brachial artery coming here. Okay, which is towards the medial side. The radial artery will be on the lateral side, and the ulnar artery will be on the medial side. Okay. Cosine relations runs to the medial side of the wrist, obliquely covered by the superficial forearm muscles. So the muscles of the forearm will be covering it, and it will be covered by the superficial forearm, the forearm branches. So this is the ulnar artery, goes toward the medial side of the forearm and then comes to the wrist. Okay. What are the branches it will be giving? It will be giving some very important branches. One is called as the common intraosseous artery. If you see here, it is giving one important branch called as the common intraosseous. Okay, very important branch. So this will later divides into anterior interosseous and the posterior interosseous will go behind. So this what you are seeing is the anterior interosseous artery. If you see here, so it is the anterior interosseous artery, one of the branches from the common interosseous, which is a branch from the ulnar artery. So ulnar artery gives a very important branch called as common interosseous here. Okay, this common interosseous divides into anterior and posterior. Anterior will supply the anterior muscles of the forearm, and the posterior interosseous will be going behind in the posterior compartment of the forearm and supply the posterior compartment muscles. Okay. Then it will be also giving the anterior and posterior ulnar recurrent branches. If you see here, there are some recurrent branches, posterior ulnar recurrent branches. And here this is the anterior recurrent ulnar recurrent branch. If you remember in the previous branches we had seen, so here is the branches from the brachial artery. One is the superficial ulnar collateral and the superior as well as inferior coronary artery. Now if you see here, this is the ulnar artery. So this is giving the anterior and posterior recurrent artery. So these recurrent arteries join or anastomose with the collateral arteries, superior and inferior collateral, anastomose with the anterior and posterior ulnar recurrent branch, which are coming from the ulnar artery. So this is the ulnar artery here, brachial artery dividing into radial and ulnar gives the common interosseous here. Then it also gives the anterior and posterior ulnar recurrent branches. Okay. So it will be giving the common interosseous, which divides into anterior and posterior interosseous after the common interosseous. Then the anterior and posterior recurrent branches which go behind and supply the arm. Then it also gives the palmar and dorsal carpal branches. When it comes to the hand here, so near the wrist, it will be giving the palmar as well as the dorsal carpal branches. Then it will be also giving muscular branches in the forearm as well as in the hand. Now coming to the posterior interosseous artery. Posterior interosseous, as I said, it is a branch from the common interosseous. As I said, the ulnar artery divides into common interosseous. Common interosseous divided to anterior interosseous. This is the anterior interosseous which is coming here. Posterior interosseous will be behind in the posterior compartment of the forearm. So it is coming here. This is the posterior interosseous artery. So it is the smaller terminal branch of the common interosseous artery. Okay, it passes between the supinator as well as the abductor pollicis longus. If you see here, this is the anconeus, and here is the supinator muscle. So it is coming deep to the supinator muscle, and this goes above the adductor pollicis longus. If you see here, this is the muscle here called as the adductor pollicis longus. Sorry, this is the abductor. Sorry, abductor pollicis longus. Okay, it is between the supinator muscle as well as the abductor pollicis longus. Okay, so it will be passing between the supinator as well as the abductor pollicis longus and supplies most of the muscles of the posterior compartment. Almost all the muscles of the posterior compartment of the forearm, posterior compartment of the forearm are supplied by the posterior interosseous artery, which is a branch from the common interosseous, which in turn is a branch from the ulnar artery. Okay, so this is the posterior interosseous artery. Now coming to the hand. So as I said, the radial artery and the ulnar artery will be giving branches in the hand. When they come here, if you see here, this is the radial artery and this is the ulnar artery. And these arteries are not end arteries, but they anastomose with each other. If you see here, the radial artery and the ulnar artery are anastomosing. So there will be superficial branches and the deep anastomosis. So this superficial anastomosis is called as the superficial palmar arch. So in the hand, the arterial arches of the hand, there are two arterial arches of the hand. One is called as superficial and the second is called as the deep. So if you see here in this picture, they have just shown the impression. So one is the superficial palmar arch, and then we have a shorter deep palmar arch. Deep because it will be deep inside the muscles. Deep and the this is superficial. Okay, just deep to the skin and the palmar aponeurosis. You can see this artery. So this anastomosis. This that's so it is called as the superficial palmar. Then deep, if you see here, this is a deep branch of the palmar artery from the ulnar, and also it is also giving the from the radial. So those two again deep branches will anastomose like this. So this will be called as the deep palmar arch. So these are the two arteries, the radial artery and the ulnar artery will anastomose with each other by forming two arches in the hand, which are called as the superficial and palmar arches. Okay, so these are called as arterial arches because they are arches from the arteries. So this will in turn will be giving many branches. If you can see here, these are the palmar digital branches. Then we have the proper digital branches and all those things. Okay, so which will be supplying all the hand. We'll not go into details. So, but at least you should remember the superficial as well as deep palmar arch. Now coming to the venous drainage. Till here we studied about the blood supply of the heart, the upper limb. Now we have to know the venous drainage of the upper limb. Okay, the venous drainage of the upper limb is by first initially just like the arteries will begin from the aorta and they come here and become small branches. The veins will start from the palm. Okay, so it will be on the dorsal aspect, not on the palmar aspect, but on the behind the hand, from behind. So arterial arches are in the front of the hand, in the palmar surface, and on the dorsal. Dorsal means behind. We have this dorsal venous arch. Dorsal venous arch. So there is an arch from the beginning of the veins will be from the small veins. Okay, from the capillaries there will be very small veins, many small veins all joined together, and they form an arch in the dorsal aspect of the hand that is called as the dorsal venous arch. Dorsal venous arch lies on the dorsum of the hand and drains digital veins and other small veins in the hand. So all the small veins from everywhere from the hand, they all join together and they form an arch here called as the dorsal venous arch. From there, there will be beginning of two important veins. One is called as the cephalic vein and the basalic vein. So from this dorsal venous arch from the hand, they will be going towards the heart, right? This is the venous drainage, so it will be towards the heart. So these veins will start as the dorsal venous arch, and then they form divided into two important veins on either side, just like there are two arteries. So there are two veins here. One is called as cephalic, one is called as basalic vein. The cephalic vein continues from the lateral end of the dorsal venous arch, from the lateral end. How do you know the lateral end? Because if you see the thumb, so that is on the lateral side. So from the lateral end, this vein will start, that is called as the cephalic vein, and continues into the forearm and arm, draining those areas and finally opening into the axillary vein. So it will be draining the not only the hand but also the forearm as well as even the arm, and then it will go and drain into an important vein called as the axillary vein. We will talk about that later. Okay, so here is the axillary vein and this is the cephalic vein, continues all the way, okay, and drains into that. Okay, then we have the other cephalic veins also drains most of its venous blood into the basalic vein in the cubital fossa by a median cubital vein, very important vein. So this cephalic vein, which is actually going all the way up to here and then opening into the axillary vein, but it also joins with the basalic vein in the just in front of the elbow. Okay, so if you see here, this is the cephalic vein and this is the basalic vein. So the cephalic vein will be draining its venous blood into the basalic vein by a vein called as the median cubital vein. Median cubital vein. This is a very important vein because this is the site usually we use for intravenous injections because this is most stable vein. Veins, they are the superficial veins are very because they are present within the superficial fascia. They are difficult to locate as well as even though you can locate, but giving injection because they slip from the hand, so they easily slip. So giving injections or drawing blood becomes difficult. So in front of the elbow, behind we have the bones, and in the front, these two veins are holding this vein. The cephalic vein on the lateral side, basalic vein on the medial side, and in between, this is the junction, which is the median cubital vein. Because it is held by two veins on either side, it is more stable and there is less fat in the elbow, so it can be easily given. So this is the site usually where we give the intravenous injection. The other site is the dorsal venous arch. Here it is much more easy, but the veins are very small, so there are very small needles which will pass here if you give it in the dorsum of the hand. If not, it is better to give in the median cubital vein. Okay, so this is the median cubital vein, which is in front of the elbow. Okay, so what is this vein? This is median cubital vein is a vein draining the venous blood from the cephalic vein into the basalic vein. Okay, from lateral to medial side. But it also continues straight up to, as you can see here, it all goes all the way and opens into the axilla and the axillary vein. Okay. The basalic vein, on the other hand, this is the basalic vein. As you can see, this is the basalic vein, which is beginning from the medial side. So it begins from the medial end of the dorsal venous arch, runs superficial in the forearm and in the middle of the middle one third of the arm. If you see here, it runs all the way in superficially in the forearm as well as even up to the one third of the arm. Then it becomes deep. Then it runs deep and continues as the axillary vein. So it will run deep now. As you can see here, it is covered by fissure. Now it was till now here it was superficial. Now it becomes deep. Then it is called as axillary vein. So axillary vein is nothing but the continuation of the basalic vein in the lower one third of the arm when it becomes deep. Okay, so it runs deep and continues as the axillary vein at the lower border of the teres major muscle, which is a very important landmark. Then it continues as the axillary vein. So from up to here, it is the basalic vein. Now it runs deep. Now this is called as the axillary vein. Axillary vein. The continuation of the basalic vein at the lower border of the teres major muscle runs proximally till the lower border of the first rib. It goes up to the lower border of the first rib, where the and continues as the subclavian vein. So then it will continue as subclavian vein. So before that, this cephalic vein will drain into this axillary vein before it continues as the subclavian vein. Now here from in the lower border of the in the lower border of the first rib, it will continue as the axillary vein. The axillary vein continues as the subclavian vein. So this is the subclavian vein. Here you can see this is the subclavian. Joins with the internal jugular vein, which is coming from the neck. Okay, to form the brachiocephalic vein. So this subclavian vein will join with the brachiocephalic vein coming from the head and neck to join together. This subclavian vein joins with the internal jugular vein to form the brachiocephalic vein. Okay, and then it form the brachiocephalic vein of one side will join with the other side to form the superior vena cava. So here will be the brachiocephalic vein of the right side, and it will join with the left side brachiocephalic vein to form superior vena cava, and then it drains into the right atrium of the heart. So this is the whole course of these veins. Now coming to some surface markings. Surface markings, what do you mean by surface marking? It is marking of any structure on the superficial surface of the body. Why do you do that? Because if you want to locate any artery or vein or any structure, you should know where exactly it will be present. Okay, for the surgeons to do any surgery or the physician to give any kind of venous drain, as we saw the intravenous injections or something like that. At that time, you're supposed to locate any structure. Okay, so this is called as surface marking when we draw it on the body before cutting anything. Okay, so that is called as surface marking. So the surface marking, the brachial artery surface marking. The first will be the brachial artery. Okay. So brachial artery, as we had seen, it is the continuation of the axillary artery. Here will be the axillary artery, continues as the brachial artery. So how do you mark it? Brachial artery marked by joining following 2 points. Usually it will be by 2 points. Okay. The first point, junction of the anterior 1/3 and the posterior 2/3 of the lateral wall of the axilla. This is the axilla. So the junction between the anterior 1/3 and the posterior 2/3. So if you draw a line and anterior 1/3 and posterior 2/3, so the junction between these two, that will be the first point. Okay, where it will begin. Okay. Then the second point will be the neck of the radius. It will go up to the radius. radial bone. Then it goes up to the neck of the radius, medial to the tendon of biceps brachialis. So biceps brachii tendon will be here. Okay, so this is the biceps brachii and its tendon will be here. Just medial to that will be the brachial artery. So this is the second point. First point, junction between the anterior anterior one third and posterior two thirds. Then the second point will be just medial to the neck of the radius. So join these 2 points, that becomes the surface marking of the brachial artery. Similarly, coming to the radial artery, mark by joining the following 2 points, which are those. First point, from the end of the brachial artery, that is the neck of the radius, as we saw here, it will be neck of the radius, medial to the tendon of the biceps brachii. So you can see here the tendon of the biceps brachii, just medial to that. Second point, at the rest between the anterior border of the radius, laterally, and tendon of the flexor carpi radialis medially, where the pulse is felt. So it will be going towards the medial side here, and it will go up to the lateral side up to actually the rest joint between the anterior border of the radius, laterally, and tendon of the flexor carpi radialis, where we can put your fingers and try to feel the radial pulse. Wherever you feel the pulse, that is the second point at the wrist joint. Okay, then it goes posteriorly. Okay, so these are the 2 points. First point at the neck of the radius, and second point will be near the lateral side, near the wrist joint, where you can feel the pulse of the person. So that will be the second point. And when you draw it, you should draw with a curve on the lateral side. Course is curved gently convex to the lateral side. So when you draw, don't draw a straight line, but you have to supposed to draw it with a curvature, because as we saw, the radial artery will have a curvature. Okay, so this is all about the blood supply of the upper limb, both the arterial supply and all the arteries supplying it, and that how they are changed from the subclavian artery, beginning of the subclavian artery, to the end of the subclavian artery, then the beginning of the axillary artery, then continuous brachial artery, then into the radial and ulnar artery, and the venous drainage by the cephalic and basalic veins. So if you have any difficulties until here, you can ask me.
Thank you, Doctor.
Any difficulties? Anything you did not understand? Attendance you will give through the Moodle, right? Okay, anyhow, I will take it, no problem. Just a minute, wait for me. I will take the attendance.